So today we are going to be making peanut butter and jelly sandwich ice cream. Now, I know I only have peanut butter and jelly here, but I think I have a way to incorporate the sandwich part into the ice cream. And I'm just using the natural Jif crunchy peanut butter there. You can use creamy, whatever you want. That's just the one I have. And then for jelly, I have a homemade grape jelly that I'll be using. So I think the game plan for this is I'm going to make a peanut butter ice cream. Because I don't think these two flavors are gonna mix well if I just put both of them in there. I feel like one could overpower the other. I'm going to do them separately. So peanut butter ice cream, then I'm going to take the jelly and I'm going to kind of layer it on a plate and put it in the freezer. And hopefully that freezes into kind of these like jelly crystals. And then I will incorporate the bread as kind of like a sweet crouton kind of thing. So it'll be a little bit crunchy. So it's almost like a peanut butter jelly crunchy sandwich kind of ice cream. So I think first I'm gonna start with freezing this and then we'll get to making the peanut butter ice cream. Okay, so we got our plate here and our jelly. And this homemade jelly is a little more watery than the usual jelly. So there's a little more water in it, so it should help it freeze a little bit better. So my plan is just to kind of smear it like this, and I'll add a little bit more. Also, as I'm smearing this on here, I'm really hoping this comes off the plate. Otherwise, this was a total disaster from the get-go. Okay, that should be set. That's kind of thick, so that should turn in some nice crystals there, hopefully. I'm gonna put that in the freezer, and then we'll get to making the ice cream. So now we're gonna add our peanut butter, and I have chunky, but I think I'm gonna just kind of start with 2 spoonfuls. Then next we're gonna add our dry ingredients, which is sugar and then some guar gum. Now I decided to use brown sugar for this. You can use regular sugar if you want. And then we're gonna add our cup of milk. Okay, now we're gonna mix all this up. And in case you're wanting the recipe for what I'm doing here, that will be down in the description below. So you can kind of follow along at home or make whatever tweaks you want to the recipe. So yeah, get that all in there. And the peanut butter is going to be really kind of chunky at first. The goal is to get that to kind of melt into the milk a little bit more so this flavor gets all throughout the ice cream. Okay, that's looking really good. Off the top, I'm getting a lot of peanut butter smell from it, which is good. Because I use crunchy, there's going to be some floating kind of peanuts throughout there, but that's okay because the Ninja Creami is going to blend those up. And that'll be totally fine. So yeah, I think this is ready to put in the freezer and see how it turns out tomorrow. All right, pour that in there. All right, it's looking pretty good. That's what that looks like right there. Looks a little off-putting because of the chunks that are floating on top, and there's little specks that's kind of from the oils or whatever that's in the peanut butter. But like I said, it doesn't matter. Once it gets in the machine, we'll blend it up. It'll be fine. I think it's call it a day. See how this turns out tomorrow. All right, it is the next day. Let's open this up and see how it turned out. Okay, yeah, that got a lot darker. You can kind of see right there. A lot of the peanuts, because I remember I used crunchy peanut butter, not creamy. A lot of the peanuts seem to have floated to the top. But that should be fine. The blender should be able to blend through that. Yeah, strong peanut butter smell, which is what you'd expect and what you want from this. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this is. And I think let's go ahead and put it in there and see how that turns out. Now this is the part where I was intending on taking our frozen jelly and mixing it into the ice cream. However, it did not go how I expected. How I envisioned this idea was for the jelly to freeze kind of like little ice chips and stuff where I could hammer it away and break it up, and then I would mix that in there and it's just little ice crystals of jam. However, it did not do that. It basically just kind of dried up, and it's still jam, just slightly thicker. And by mixing that in there, it would darken the peanut butter ice cream and you'd lose the flavor of the jam. So I'm going to pivot, and I'm still going to use this. However, last night, the peanut butter and jelly gods gave me a vision, a grand idea. Instead of using the jam how I was intending on using it, and the bread how I was incorporating that with bread croutons, I thought, this is a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, why don't I just make it a sandwich? So earlier I toasted up some bread, and I put some sugar on there and kind of crisped it up so it still has a kind of a crunchy crouton kind of thing. See if you can kind of see there. It's kind of. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put one side with the jam on there and another side with our peanut butter ice cream, put that together, and we have ourselves a PB&J sandwich. All right, this looks really good. It honestly looks like cold peanut butter. That's what that looks like right there. Yeah, luckily the crunchy peanut butter didn't really affect this too much. If anything, it has a few chunks in there, which is fine for a textural reason. Yeah, still has a nice peanut butter smell to it. It looks a little soupy, but not super liquid. Like, it's still holding its shape. And so I think that's just maybe from like the oils from the peanut butter, or maybe because I used a more natural peanut butter that didn't have some of the sugars and stuff in there. So yeah, let's go ahead and assemble this bad boy and see how it tastes. Okay, well obviously we gotta scoop this, and right off the bat you can see it scoops very well. Let's go with that amount. That might be too much, but let's be honest, can you ever really have too much peanut butter? Now we need to move fast, and since I don't want to waste this jam, and it's still jam, I'm going to just scoop that on there. All right, it's time to assemble this. Moment of truth. Ooh, that's looking good. Look at that. A little drippy from the jelly, but overall, here, let me get that closer. There. All right, time's a ticking. Let's give this a taste. Bon appetit.
Damn, that shit good.
Oh yeah, that that was a good idea. I am glad I turned that into a sandwich. Super messy, but honestly, totally worth it. I think the peanut butter is a good balance. It wasn't too overpowering. It feels like a kind of whipped up cold peanut butter. Toasting the bread was a good choice. The jelly, I wish there was a better way to incorporate this, because this one's a little runny. If you were to do a scoop version, I think doing this kind of like sweet crouton thing and having that on there would work as well. But I feel like it's more fun to do this as a sandwich, kind of hold it in there. And who knows, you might want to do it maybe more like toast, where you have like one piece of bread and have everything on top. That way it doesn't squish out when you bite into it. Yeah, I feel like texture-wise, this works. You get the nice crunch from the bread. You get kind of the sweetness from the jelly. And obviously your classic staple of peanut butter. Yeah, I feel like this all harmonizes together really well. It's just messy, but it's a PB&J. I mean, can't go wrong with it. So because of all of that, I think I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. I'm really close to giving it a 5, but I feel like the shortcomings with the jelly and not being able to incorporate it into the ice cream how I initially wanted kind of keeps this from being a 5. But other than that, this was amazing. Actually, I'm gonna go back for another bite before this completely melts. Yeah, that's another good bite. The ice cream is starting to kind of seep into the bread a little bit, so it's nice that it was crunched up so it doesn't get soggy. Yeah, highly recommend doing this at home. There's obviously a lot of avenues you can do to mix it up, different jelly. Maybe there was something in the jelly that wasn't freezing, or maybe the method I was using. It might be worth, instead of doing jelly, doing like a grape juice or something and then freezing that. That might have more water in it and that might allow it to freeze. But other than that, this is working really well. Great peanut butter ice cream. Great idea with the bread, toasting it, put some sugar, sprinkle some sugar on it. Yeah, this is an absolute win in my book. Thank you everyone for taking time out of your day to watch me make weird ice cream flavors. I really enjoy it and I enjoy sharing it with you guys. And if you enjoy that too, feel free to like this video and subscribe so you can see when I upload next, which is every Sunday. And if you have any ideas for future flavors of ice cream you want me to try, feel free to leave those in the comments below. And if you want the recipe that I use in this episode, that'll be in the description below. Again, thank you for watching and have a great day.